Insurance Bicycles on the corner of Airport and Willflower in Midtown.
Mike Bailey, pioneer of the Gulf Coast wine scene and award-winning food entrepreneur.
I know a lot of you wonder what to do with your moon pies, so I've got some wine suggestions for you. Lemon moon pies, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, or Pinot Grigio.
Stuart Reb Donald, acclaimed food and travel writer and world-class chef.
I was the chef de casserole. I made the casseroles in the frozen food department.
For more than a decade, they've combined their expertise to answer your questions and introduce you to the culinary movers and shakers you want or ought to know. 4-time Taste Award finalists, 12-time Nephew Award losers. They are the dynamic duo of dining. Keep screaming for more. Mike and Stu on FM Talk 106.5.
Wine, who you are drinking wine? Wine, who you are drinking wine? Mike ain't here today. Hello, everybody. You are listening to Sip and Chew with Mike-less Stu. And Mike is attending a memorial service for a friend of his downtown. Can't make the show today, but I'm going to try and do my best to fulfill your Michael needs. Okay, we're done with that. Everyone's got their needs taken care of.
There you go.
We're going to have an interesting show today. I've got some notes that I took so that I'm not just making stuff up on the fly. And,
Like usual?
Yeah, which is usually how we do it. But sometimes we can bounce off of each other and somehow it comes together. And at least 12 of you are like it enough to show up every week and listen. So the dozen of you that listen, thank you so much. Okay. It is fall now, Steve, even here. We got some leaves. I know it was 86 yesterday. But
it's going to be 80 something today, too.
Yeah, that's just fall in Mobile.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about a bunch of things to do with fall, what's coming up. You know, we got Thanksgiving in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for that reminder.
Yeah. So that means like 8 weeks until Christmas. Yeah. Time flies when you're having a horrible presidential election.
That's true.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick your brain on some of this because the first thing I want to talk about are memories of fall festivals.
Okay.
I grew up in Sims.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very agrarian community.
Oh, yeah.
But it was extremely agrarian when I grew up. There's probably 4,000 or 5,000 people in Sims now. There are Asian people that live there, Hispanics, African American, every walk of life.
Very diverse, yeah.
When I was growing up, there were 1,800 white people living in Sims.
Right.
There wasn't a single family of color. Now, communities next to us, 8 Mile, Wilmer, Fairview, and stuff like that. But in what is considered the community of Sims, when I was growing up, was really lily white. But we would have fall festival at Sims Middle School.
Okay.
Right in the middle of all the nurseries. And that's mostly what was in Sims at the time, nurseries.
Right.
That was the only business.
Still pretty prominent, yeah.
Yeah. We had one fast food place, the Beef and Chick, which we called the Barf and Choke.
Okay.
Oddly enough, it is now the Hickory Pit restaurant.
Oh, that's where you were going. Okay.
And then I think in high school we had a Burger King show up. And it's the Burger King that's now Schillinger's and Moffett.
Yeah.
That was it. Where Ollie's was a Del Champ's grocery store. Next door was a K&B Drugs.
Right.
That was that entire
You didn't have
corner.
Walgreens. You didn't have your CVS. You didn't have.
Oh, Lord, no. We did have Sims Drugs, which is where the Dollar General is now.
You're right. No, they moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They moved a couple of times.
Right.
Almost back to where they were before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just a block down.
Yeah, they're now by the regions.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
Okay. But Fall Festival was something that we always looked forward to in The Sims because that's a time when an agrarian community can really show off what they've been doing all summer. And there were some things that I wrote down that were memories from my Fall Festival. And then you growing up in the Midwest, I want to see what your memories were. So I'm going to start off with the number one thing we all looked forward to was buying a 5-foot length of sugar cane and then just walking around gnawing on sugar cane for the next week. It was awesome. And I think as we got older, they would cut it down to like a fist-sized piece like this. But initially, it was usually like a 5-foot star. Or it seemed
just
seemed huge to a second grader.
Yeah.
It may have only been 2 feet long. But
we used to do that with the corn stalks.
Y'all gnawed on the corn
Yeah,
stalks?
yeah, we
Okay.
yeah,
Because you know the cob can be used to smoke, just like you could wood.
Really?
Yeah, I have seen a couple of instances where people were in a challenge on Food Network.
Yeah.
And they were like, in fact, the guy said, I remember Alton Brown one time smoked something with corn cobs, so I'm going to smoke corn cobs.
Yep.
Okay. But we had the sugar cane.
Okay.
And we'd walk around gnawing on sugar cane.
So is that anything like they do now at the flea market where they have the corn ear, corn, anything that you do anything? Is that part of
We had no corn.
roast corn? No roast corn down here?
Nope.
Wow, we used to do that all the time. That's part of the fair. Yeah.
We had a lot of homemade candy.
Really?
My favorite was called Haystacks.
Haystacks.
Yeah. It's a rustic candy made with peanut butter and Chinese noodles.
Wow. Never heard of that.
So that makes it crunchy, gives you a little
Yeah.
saltiness. Sometimes there was butterscotch mixed in as well. I love the Haystacks. And of course, this being the South, there was divinity as far as the eye could see.
I was about to say.
Pralines as well. Let's see.
You're triggering some things here. I got to write these down.
Now, here's one that's probably more prevalent where you came from than here, but we all wanted caramel apples until we got about 3 bites into them.
Right.
I don't want this anymore.
Sticking the teeth, I can't all over my nose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also homemade cinnamon rolls.
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then when we finally got some cool air, which did arrive sooner back then, and we had hay rides in the fall, of course, after the hay ride, you wanted some hot chocolate or some hot cocoa.
Right.
And those are some of my memories growing up in Sims of a fall festival, which was something that the entire community looked forward to every year.
Where was that? You said Sims Middle School.
Sims Middle School is not where Sims Middle School was then. It is now
YMCA, is that the one?
I think it's right. It's at Nursery Road and Wolf Road.
Right. Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
That was Sims Elementary and Sims Middle School at the time. Across the street is a little white building.
Yes.
That was the original Sims school.
Yeah. Wow.
And then when they built a brick building, Sims First Baptist Church purchased that.
Okay.
And that was actually where I went to Sunday school.
Okay.
It was down there where they have a parking lot now.
Yeah. And then
now they've sent
in
it
the park.
Yeah. Now they've moved it back across the street from where it was. Also, there was a library on Sims campus when I was a kid that was also like the first middle school. It was a one-room schoolhouse kind of thing.
Bringing up some memories.
Yeah.
We always had the fair. I mean, it's like
Right.
Yeah, up here, October is always the fair. Matter of fact, when I first moved down here from Iowa in '88, I was leaving the Midwest, so I was so tired of fair. I just, the fair is everything. Because, like you said, agricultural backgrounds,
right?
You get your pumpkins, you got everything. So they come and display it. You get your prize pumpkins, you get your prize for this, prize for that, blue ribbons, blah blah blah.
Best pig.
Yeah, best hog, best cow, best chicken, whatever. And it just seemed, I didn't appreciate it in those days. But when I moved down here, we had the Iowa State Fair, and I didn't have anything to do with that. I wanted out of here. When I found the beach, I figured it out. That's where I wanted to go. Yeah. But you're right. When you started talking about the haystack, Butterbrickle.
Okay, yeah.
Butterbrickle was everywhere.
Yeah.
We had those during festivals.
Yeah, it seems like peanut brittle was a big thing too.
Yeah, peanut
brittle. My dad, who did not care for sweets at all, loved peanut brittle.
That was my dad.
By the way, you can make peanut brittle really well in a microwave. It's probably the best thing in the world to make peanut brittle.
Now you got to tell me how to do that.
Oh, I don't remember. Google it. Give it a Google.
Give it a Google. Okay. Well, my dad was that way because when he was born in 1916, he went through the 20s and the 30s, which were very poor in the Midwest. You had the Dust Bowls and then you had the crash,
Yeah.
So I mean, that was a major treat for them was Butterbrickle and peanut butter. So
and my dad was born in 1933, so he went through the Great Depression. In fact, he was 14 before he lived in a home with indoor plumbing and electricity.
That was
that was after they moved to Mobile from Gilbertown.
You ever heard of the sod house?
No, I have not.
A sod house is made of basically sod, just like it would be red clay here. But the sod is very solid. I mean, you still see some sod homes. They just make them out of the mud and make them into a brick. And that was, learned from Native Americans, which my dad was. Right. So, I mean, they had dirt floor and all that. Very small. There was think Dad said there was 7 kids when he grew up, and then he had 7 kids himself. So you imagine that in about the size of this room.
Right.
That was everything. They had the kitchen, the sleeping quarters, the eating quarters, the living quarters, period. Yep. That was all in that. And about a 20, 30 by 30 home.
Yeah.
Shoot.
251-343-0106. That is the Callahan's Irish Social Club call and text line.
Yeah, they really sparking a lot of things.
There
was always rodeo. We had to do rodeo. That was, always did the rodeo. I got into rodeo later on in my life. I rode bulls.
Oh, wow. I always wanted to do that. I couldn't even do the Grease pig chase because I never wore a belt. My pants were falling off.
It's amazing. I can get up and walk. But you get thrown off of a good bull a couple of times. You know you've been.
I've been bucked off a horse once.
I got bucked off a horse and didn't know where I was at for about 30 minutes. My friend thought I was joking around. I didn't have a clue. Didn't know who he was. But yeah, we did rodeo. We did days up there. They always come in with the carnies and with the little traveling. And I never knew the treat here. Which is something that was really interesting. I'm trying to think of the elephant ears.
Yeah, that's something that came with the fair. What do you want, man? What do you want, Phil? Gosh.
Okay, I guess we're back.
Okay.
And we're back.
Well, that was quick. Well, Steve and I have just been sitting here reminiscing about fall, which is what we were talking about the first segment. It's going to be a continuing theme throughout the rest of the show. But you were talking about the Iowa State Fair, and here we have, and today's the last day, is the Greater Gulf State Fair out of the grounds. I have noticed, and I want to, I guess, give an attaboy to the city of Mobile. Now, it may be because the economy is so bad that people aren't going to the fair. Mm-hmm. But I have noticed the traffic around the fairgrounds is much better now that they've added extra points of entrance and exit.
Yeah.
And again, it may also be that just, nobody's going.
Yeah,
I don't know because I haven't had time nor the inclination to go to the fair. And when I was a kid growing up, I always hated that you had to walk past all the barn animals,
right,
and all of that to get to the rides. And now I'm like, the only thing I really want to see now are the animals.
Right. I don't want to go to the rides anymore. Yeah, we used to do the same thing, and that was part of my, when you're around it all the time, it just doesn't. It's not special,
right?
And then when I got older and I had to do fairs, part of broadcasting, I didn't realize it came down here. I was shocked that you even had fairs down here. I thought that was only a Midwest thing.
No, that used to be something everywhere because everybody had farms. Farms used to be in every state,
right? Just like fall festivals of any kind.
Yeah. David Hubble left a comment. Says about the comment when I was talking about smoking with corn cobs. Said you can smoke with sugar cane as well. This is one of the primary sources of smoke in authentic River Parish andouille, which is the official sausage of the state of Louisiana, even though it comes from France, like everything else in New Orleans. But and he also mentioned that Mike must be recovering from judging the gumbo cook-off yesterday.
I wondered about that. I got a text from Mike, but he didn't mention that.
Yeah, I spoke with a buddy down on the island, Gene Gable, yesterday. He was also judging it and seemed to have a good time. So David says he wants to give a shout out to Danny Calametti and the good folks at Alabama Coasting and Coastal Orange Beach for the wonderful gumbo fest yesterday in Fairhope. So
fantastic.
And that's another fall thing. It's gumbo.
We used to do, and this texter kind of reminded me, we used to have, along with the fair, there was always those, I don't know what they call entrepreneurial ways. Like the neighbors would bring out their cakes or their goodies. And this gal reminds me, she says, I turned $10 into 10 cakes one year when I was about 8 or 9 in a cakewalk. We used to do those at churches. We used to do those, throughout the community centers, things like that.
And I always thought that until I went to the first one. The cakewalk was everyone's going to put a cake on their head and walk around. And I was sorely disappointed when that was not the case.
You were literal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is literal. I mean, you walk around and you look at everyone's cakes.
Right.
Yeah.
And, so let's talk about some of the foods that we can enjoy now in November.
Okay.
Parsnips are hitting their stride this month. Yeah. Those first frosty days develop the natural sugars in parsnips and other root vegetables like carrots and turnips. Try a root mash as opposed to mashed potatoes. That's where you take one parsnip, one carrot, one potato, one sweet potato. I recommend a white sweet potato because they're not as sweet. Maybe one turnip root. And boil them and combine them. And what you get is the best of all those different vegetables. And you have to keep in mind, the best thing about a potato is the taste because it has virtually no nutritional value once you cook it.
See,
but then it's toxic when it's raw. So,
I thought parsnips were part of the beet family.
No, they're actually, I think, in the carrot family. But beets are also a root vegetable.
Yeah. No, they're a root vegetable. That's where I get the things.
Yeah, the parsnip is the one that looks like a white carrot.
Right.
Yeah. And when you combine all of those different roots, like I say, you get the best of all of them. And anything that you like, the turnip can be particularly bitter. But when you combine it with a carrot and a white sweet potato, there's enough sugar there that it balances
that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a lot lighter than a mashed potato and a heck of a lot healthier.
Really?
Because keep in mind, the more color that a vegetable has, the more vitamins and nutrients it has. Well, the potato is white on the inside.
I didn't know that.
So it's the only thing we really get from potatoes is
starch.
Carbohydrates. Yeah, unless you eat the peel. There's vitamins and minerals in the peel, which is why it kills me when people peel the potatoes from mashed potatoes. I want the peel, dadgummit.
Yeah, we used to do that, and that's where tater skins come from. Where you fry those and you eat everything. Of course, where I'm from, you eat everything on your plate anyway.
Right, exactly. Another vegetable that's in season right now is Brussels sprouts. They tend to have less bitterness once November begins. They are great done in an air fryer. Because once you get that brown crispiness on it, that is you caramelizing the natural sugars that are in there, and it really makes those flavors prevalent.
Now, you put Parmesan on that, that's pretty good.
Well, I've got a little bit of char pairs well with balsamic vinaigrette and crispy bacon.
Ooh.
And a little toss of Parmesan in there would be good.
Yeah,
and it's a warm salad. Yeah, but do it in the deep fryer. Yeah. Or you could do it in an oven, roast them in an oven. But you want to get, I usually shave them about a quarter of an inch thick instead of keeping them whole or even cutting them in half.
Split them at least?
Yeah, you quarter them as well.
Okay.
We used to do, in fact, we won the Luck of the Irish cook-off when I was at Lucky. With it, we called our nouveau corned beef and cabbage, and it was fried Brussels sprouts.
There you go.
Tossed in balsamic vinaigrette with bacon and corned beef.
There you go.
And
now, do you use oil or butter?
Oil. This is at a restaurant, so we stuck it in the deep fryer for about a minute. As soon as you hear it stop popping,
that's done.
Yeah, it's done. It takes about a minute and a half at least.
Okay.
You want to shake it to get the excess oil off, and then immediately toss it in the dressing, put the bacon and the corned beef in it, and send it out.
Now, in the air fryer, what do you just no oil, or just a little oil?
I'd probably spray it with Pam.
Okay.
Something like just a light coating, just like you do everything else in the air fryer, just because otherwise it's just bacon.
It's dry. Yeah, it'd be too dry. Okay.
And another ingredient is leeks, which have a mild onion flavor that is perfect for soups, especially, it's in the name, potato leek soup. Or simmer it in ham and white beans.
White beans. Now
cannellini or navy, take your pick.
Okay, but not butter beans.
No. Oh, well, it would be good in that as well. But
I remember any kind of kidney bean like that, I have a hard, it's just too
earthy.
Yeah.
Earthy?
Yeah.
We'll call it earthy. Also, November is the beginning of the stew season. All three of these ingredients are great in stews.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Or Rachel Ray says there's three kinds of liquid meals. There's soups, there's stews, and what she calls stoops.
Stoops.
Which is thicker than a soup, thinner than a stew.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and there are lots of things that are thinner than this stew.
Roast beef.
Me.
No, I
Yeah.
I didn't even make the connection. I'm a little slow. We used to do a lot, and my dad used to do a lot of pressure cooker.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you take a whole, what you call it, roast beef, not a roast beef, but I can't think of what it's called now, but it's to me, it's simply roast beef. Big old chuck,
Yeah.
and you stick it in and let it sit. I mean, all day.
Yeah, that's pot roast.
Pot roast, that's the
Yeah.
word I'm looking for. And, you know, he would stew that up and put potatoes, carrots, onion, always onion. Everything was onion.
Well, it's cheap, it's easy,
Yeah, again,
and
No one
also
gets back
adds
on that.
flavor to everything it goes in.
same thing with beans. This time of year was ham and beans. A lot of ham and beans. Yeah, a lot of time outdoors.
Well, one of my favorite meals that I prepare, and it's one of the few things that I do exactly the same way every time, is usually if I'm doing like meatloaf, I'm just looking in the fridge to see what I've got.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the way I cook at home is
Scavenger.
what do I have,
Yeah.
and then make it work. But the ham and cannellini beans simmered together, which in France is called cassoulet.
I'm not picturing that, so I guess I'm not the simplest on that one. What's the cannellini?
Cannellini. Have you ever had a white chili?
Yes.
The beans that are in that are cannellini beans.
Oh, okay. Okay, so then I was picturing meat in my mind. Okay,
Yeah. No, cannellini beans are a type of Italian white bean.
like a white chili.
Yeah.
I got you.
Only
you
with
could, you
ham.
could add like turkey or.
Yeah, actually, smoked turkey would be phenomenal
Yeah.
and would keep
I like
the
that.
fat and cholesterol down that ham would give.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
But I
We're
want,
talking now.
but I
I'm
want some
liking this.
good buttery cornbread to go with it.
Tusker's texted in and says, y'all making me hungry for my granny's cooking.
Well, this is a food and wine show.
Yeah, that's
So
kind of the idea.
kind of our deal here. Now you said you had lived in Iowa,
Yes.
and I had been in Iowa, well, twice, but once was going up, once was coming back on
Right.
the same trip at Thanksgiving.
Ah.
And when we came back, we left Minot, North Dakota to drive back to Mobile.
hmm
And as we were leaving Minot, a blizzard started.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to experience driving in a blizzard from Minot to Fargo.
How long did it take you?
I don't recall. A
It
long
always
time.
depends. It is going to say it always
Yeah.
depends on how heavy that snow and wind
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And we went to, we ended up staying in St. Paul that night.
Mhm.
Then we got up the next morning to drive to Nashville.
Nice.
With a stop off in St. Louis for the Arch.
Oh, yeah.
But we're driving. I said, when we left St. Paul, I told Google, I want the fastest route to St. Louis, which turned out to not be interstate because the interstates are all jammed up.
Right.
So it took me on backcountry roads.
There you go. Good
Well, I had a brake caliper leaking.
bad.
So every 100 miles, I had to stop and add a can of brake fluid. But we were going through Iowa, and it was covered with snow.
Mhm.
And I couldn't really concentrate because I was trying not to kill us. But I would take a second to glance out, and it was just gorgeous, covered in snow, going through that farmland,
Mhm.
nowhere near cities, big farmhouse off in the distance, a
Mhm.
big field. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It looked like a Courier and Ives Christmas
Yeah,
card.
and that's part of the appeal until you're in it for a long time.
Right.
You got to shovel it, or you got to get out and feed the animals, and then dig yourself out, anything like that, and
Oh, yeah.
freezing your knuckles, and yeah, that's so much fun.
Yeah. My mother grew up in Wyoming and Idaho, and she would look at that Iowa winter and go, "Oh, it's summertime."
Exactly. That's nothing. When I first moved down here, just 30 seconds. I run around in shorts, as you see.
Yeah.
And even when it's 50, 30, 40 degrees, people going, "Are you crazy? Oh, this is summer, bud."
Yeah.
Say 19, 18, 20 below, I can promise you that. This is nice. So, yeah, and there's no snow on the ground. Even when there's snow on the ground here, it's warm.
Right. 251-343-0106 is the Callahan's Irish Social Club and text line. When we get back, I got to thank some sponsors.
Yeah.
You can get anything.
Your
Forgot
business
that
needs a
beginning
network
last
you can
thing.
count on.
I didn't
Why is this segment
I
so
just
long?
think of the intro on that, and I
Comcast
just
business
started blabbing along.
Find out how to help keep your business up and running, even when your power goes out.
Everybody in the warehouse good?
Lights are
I'm not used to being a host.
Let's pop
It's from the
It's been
company
a
with
while.
99.9% network reliability.
break room, you good?
Yeah, I agree. The first snow is always the prettiest.
Power on with the
Yeah.
It's always the one you like. No, it's like my ex is up in Minnesota, Rainer, which is north of Minneapolis. So she's almost Canada.
Yeah.
She's going to get some snow. She's going to get some snow.
Yeah.
And she's already complaining it's cold. No, I've almost been there a couple times too. Saying, I warned you.
Yeah. Love Fargo, by the way. Great town, Fargo. Love to go back to Fargo.
I visited, but it didn't.
Since the movie and the television series.
Land Gap is your
Okay.
source for
Because that's,
award-winning
it's got a
local
little
news,
bit of a Hollywood hipness to
Well,
it.
you know, actually, Trainer.
and arts and entertainment coverage, as well as
That's
the
the
best
basis
sports
of it.
pages in
Oh,
Alabama.
okay.
So,
Land
yeah,
Gap is your local
it's great.
newspaper.
So I started looking
No
on
one covers this
when she
area
said
like
she was
we
looking
do.
up there, and I was like,
Find us around town in
okay,
one of
so I
our
did some
local
research, and
boxes
yeah,
or
Trainer
you can
community
purchase a
is where all
Land Gap
these
digital
weird things
subscription
happen.
just
As far as
21
the
cents a day. Not only do you help us
Fargo's
continue
nice,
to give you a great paper,
compared to
you
Strange,
also get access
but I've
to
always noticed that
landgapmobile.com
all the
for
wacky
up to 5 devices,
serial killers
as
come
well
from
as
Minnesota.
almost
So I,
daily
you know,
web breaking news
seems to
and
be,
access
seems
to the
to fit.
Land Gap archives and our weekly podcast.
I say
Again,
that kind
it's
of variety.
just 21 cents a day to sign up for a
I-
Land
I
Gap
don't
digital
give a
subscription.
So anyway, I just don't. I'm trying to figure out a woman, so I'm trying to figure out.
That's
Well,
my
I
think I can figure that out quicker.
and help
But-
keep Mobile funky.
Yeah.
My mom's a
It
breast
is
cancer
way-
survivor. The United Breast Cancer Foundation saved her life.
Yeah, that's
Their free
so
breast
great. That's
cancer
why I
exam
was-
caught the cancer early, and it
I mean, it
saved her
was like
life. But now the
Bill,
foundation needs your help so they can continue
15,
offering
yeah, it was
free
only
or low-cost breast
2
screening
minutes, 2
exams,
minutes.
saving more women's
Let callers
lives.
come in,
Help
too.
them by donating your
Yeah.
car, whether it's running or not. They'll provide
Well, I need to
fast,
get
free
sponsors
24-hour
up, but-
pickup,
Yeah,
and
no,
you
you
receive a
know,
charitable
let me
tax
know.
deduction, plus the great feeling you'll get knowing your donated car is going to help save more lives.
'Cause I got my
Just
back
call
to it, and I
800-526-7406 to
See, I was
set
back in
the
my head like
wheels
my
in
mother did.
motion. They take cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, running or not. Call 800-526-7406.
15
The United
seconds
Breast
for the
Cancer
intro.
Foundation needs your help, and your donation could literally save women's lives, helping them catch breast cancer early, like they did with my mom. Donate today. 800-526-7406. That's 800-526-7406.
To get on the line, call 343-0106. Now back to Mike and Stu.
All right, you're listening to Sip and Chew with Mike-less Stu. I want to thank the sponsors really quick. I want to thank the fine folks at Bob's Downtown Restaurant. Tony will be happy to know that I actually get the name right. Mike insists on calling it Bob's Downtown Diner. Dude, he's paying his money. You might want to get the name right. It's at the corner of Fat and Happy. Everybody knows where Fat and Happy is. And I want to thank the good folks at Hall's Wholesale Meats, Sausage. They got it all for you, folks. You can even get cheese there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, wholesale cheese. The red wine rind and I think the green rind as well. But, just a little different there. Ask for them in your local grocer, and if your local grocer doesn't carry them, find a new grocer. I also want to say a big shout out to Roy Seaver and all the folks at Butch Cassidy's Cafe right there in the heart of the Flow Shell Entertainment Metroplex.
Metroplex. You're going to make it sound really big.
Yeah. And get down there and get yourself anything but a burger. I'm tired. Get you something fried. Get you some red beans and rice.
Keep meaning to stop in. I want to come in. I know in all the years that I've been in Mobile, never once been to Butch Cassidy's.
Really?
Yeah, that's just shameful. I know it
Better
is.
not let Roy hear that.
Yeah, well, like I said, I got it in my books.
All right. You said we got a caller, do we?
We do. We got Gene, I believe in Forest Hills. How are you, Gene?
Yeah. Hey, you talking about sugar cane? I've got about 6 to 8 stalks of sugar cane still out there on the ground growing up if you want to come get one.
I don't know if my old teeth can handle it anymore.
Well, actually, if you got a sharp knife, you can get around that.
I definitely got a sharp knife, Jim.
Well, I planted these things several years ago, and I get about 8 or 10 stalks off for a year. But if you want some, you just call me on this number here, and I'll be here. Give you a stalk or two.
Yeah, be a stalk too. Well, thank you for calling in and making the offer, Gene. It certainly is fall right now. We have another caller?
I think we do.
Uh-oh, well, surprise.
FM Talk 1065. Good morning. Yellow,
Hey,
you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't want to be on the air. I had a
oh,
question that was, I'd heard y'all talk about some paranormal films that one of y'all were
oh,
doing.
yeah. It just dropped Tuesday.
Well, I sent y'all an email on Facebook and never heard back, and I was just curious where I could find them at.
Go to YouTube and type in
Okay.
Delta Safari,
Okay.
and the icon will be a picture of me sniffing a glass of wine, like I'm expensive. So what I did, I went out to a Blakely battlefield and just kind of walked around and filmed some stuff. It talked about some of the paranormal things that go on out there. If you really want to get into an actual experience, look on Facebook for a group called Ghost Hunting Housewives. And every month or two or so, they will take a group out there. They sold out this year. I didn't get to go on the last one. They'll take about 100 people out there at night, which is not something you get to do at Blakely unless you're camping there, because the park closes at dusk. And they will take you all around the battlefield, and they have all the electronic equipment so that they can hear the voices and spot little things moving around. And there are a couple of videos on YouTube of people who went to their ghost hunting things, and that's what I use for part of my research as well.
All right. And you said it's Ghost Hunting Housewives?
Yeah, Ghost Hunting Housewives on Facebook.
Okay. And
Delta Safari. Yeah, that's my YouTube channel that talks all about life on the Delta. I have done every Halloween I do something paranormal. Last year I discussed the downing of Night Ship 282, which was a plane that took off at Brooklyn and hit something in midair over the Delta, and to this day they don't know what it hit. And then the year before that was good old Calliope Road.
Right. Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate it. I'm pulling into a restaurant right now, so I will definitely check it out.
All right.
Thank you for being a part of the show and calling.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry to get back to you with the email. I've been swamped lately.
No problem.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. All right. So another product that just signifies the fall.
Okay.
Apples.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, you're right. Apple pie, apple.
Right. Apples come into in the fall. A lot of people in this part of the country don't know that because this is not apple country.
No.
Our environment is too warm, too humid.
Walnuts down here,
Actually, I think it's all
Pecans,
walnut tree.
right?
Well, yeah, definitely pecans.
Yeah.
But there's some confusion over apple cider and apple juice.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the differences. Processing is a big difference.
Yeah.
Apple cider is typically unfiltered and unpasteurized, where apple juice is filtered and pasteurized. The appearance is different. Apple cider is opaque and cloudy,
Right.
while apple juice is more transparent.
I was going to say clearer. Yeah.
That gives it a different mouthfeel. Apple cider has a sharper mouthfeel, chunks basically.
Yeah.
While apple juice has a smoother, rounder mouthfeel, more like a syrup, more like Kool-Aid.
Right.
Basically, like a simple syrup. The shelf life of apples is humongous. Usually, if you buy them at the grocery store, they may be 6 months old. I mean, they really hold a long time, kept at proper temperature and controlling humidity. But yeah, most of the time you buy apples at a grocery store, they're months old. I
can't stand an apple that's mushy when I first buy it. I like a crisp apple, and it seems like they go
better than a Granny Smith.
It
tastes just like a Jolly Rancher.
Right. Yeah. The thing that
I got some Granny Smith apple juice one time that was awesome. Ooh, can't find it anymore, of course.
Interesting. Thing that when you talk about shelf life, that surprises me because it seems like I get an apple like an avocado. They're done.
It's because they're several months old. Yeah. Apple juice has a longer shelf life than apple cider because of all the processing, which is why we process foods.
Right.
We get rid of the nutrients and replace it with things that make it last longer.
Preservatives.
Right. Unpasteurized apple cider should be refrigerated and consumed within 7 to 10 days, whereas apple juice, is good for a month. Additives. Apple juice often contains preservatives and sugars,
right,
while apple cider usually doesn't. though it may contain spices and sweeteners. And that's your spiced apple cider, like that. And the sweetener would be probably some other than sugar, maple syrup, maybe.
I was gonna say like honey sometimes. I've heard of honey.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Now, the nutritional benefits, apple cider contains polyphenols, which are antioxidants that may help reduce the risk of certain types of cancer, diabetes, and heart disease.
Okay.
Likewise, apple juice can help reduce oxidative stress, which is associated with cardiovascular disease risk and can help protect the brain from free radicals that can cause neuronal damage and death.
That's why they say apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
And when you take all that out, you talk about preservatives. My question is, the main preservative is generally salt. So what
Or polysorbate 80. Yeah.
This is
A lot of the preservatives that you may find, especially the cheaper apple juice, will be things you can't pronounce. If it's difficult for you to pronounce it, it's not good for you.
It's probably synthetic, yeah.
Yeah. It's some kind of compound that was come up in a laboratory, which means it's not something the human body was designed to process.
Mm.
And we have that a lot in our food system with high fructose corn syrup
Right.
and
Polyunsaturated.
hydrogenated oil, which is Crisco, vegetable shortening. Was supposed to be a healthy alternative to lard
I was going
and
to say,
tallow.
yeah.
It is not.
Yeah, my mom used to, well, everybody used to cook with
Right.
Crisco, yeah.
My grandmother used to make her apple turnovers with lard.
Yeah.
And it was a noticeable difference
Oh,
over
yeah.
shortening.
Yeah.
Shortening just does not cut it.
My
And as it turns out, the lard is much healthier.
Yep. Yeah, it's not very attractive and smell very nice in the house, but it's certainly a lot tastier.
Now, I do want to point out there are cloudy apple juices,
Mm-hmm.
and those are great because they contain more fiber and nutrients than the cleared filtered apple juice.
So is that a different breed of apple because of that?
Less filtering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Less.
Doesn't matter the apple itself, like if
Right.
it's Washington
Yeah. It's just how much they process.
Okay.
And the reason that we consume produce, vegetables, and fruit
Mm-hmm.
is for the nutrients.
Right.
So the more nutrients you get from it,
The
the better
off
it
you are.
is.
So you mentioned before, like with milk,
Right.
having it in a plastic carton versus a paper carton. I know paper is more expensive for most people, and that's why you don't see it as much, and that's why it costs more.
Right.
But is it the same with apples?
It would be the same with anything.
Okay.
Plastic is just not a good
Container.
keep in mind that plastic leaches toxins into its liquids. So why bottled water is not the healthiest water. You're much better off drinking tap water
Okay.
because there are lots of things in plastic. Keep in mind, plastic is petroleum.
Right.
It's
As it
liquid.
heats up and as it cools down, exactly.
Right.
It heats and expands.
Yeah. So now one of the reasons that the cartons are more expensive isn't just because it's paper. To make it waterproof, they have to coat it with wax.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
It's production.
that brings the production up on it.
Right.
You have to remember that those cardboard boxes that are wax covered are not recyclable because of the wax coating, which is okay because the only thing dirtier in our atmosphere than producing paper is recycling paper. And anyone that remembers the days when these paper mills were going down the Mobile River, that they were just pouring toxins into the air. Our air is much better now with them closed down than it was when we had two plants 5 miles north of downtown Mobile.
I lived in Pensacola for a number of years, first moved down here in Cantonment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just unreal. You get a certain wind a day. Woo, yeah.
On I-10, you could always tell you were in Moss Point by the smell.
Yep.
Because I think it was IP that was there.
Wasn't that the Pogey plant because of that?
I don't know.
Yeah. I remember talking to someone over there when the Pogey plant was at full bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah. Well, the Chickasaw and Pritchard used to catch the brunt of all of those paper plants there north of Mobile. And I had a friend visit from Nashville, and he said, first thing people tell me or ask me when I thought about Mobile, I'm going to say it smelled like poop. It smelled like the whole town was farting all the time.
Right, because it's right here on the
Right,
docks.
because I was living in Chickasaw at the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any wind off the bay, which is normally what direction it blows, was sending that all over Pritchard and Chickasaw.
And it was pretty systematic of all those systems. So if you go to any kind of river town, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, anything. It's just because of, it was just whatever they were dumping and working in so many different businesses at the time. It's a lot cleaner now. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, to paper mills, they provided a car wash on the exit because the stuff they were pumping out was so bad it would destroy your paint job.
Wow.
If you had a vinyl top, it was going to eat through that vinyl top.
I
And
did
they
not
were just
know that
pumping
at
that
all.
into the air. That's what they say. Paper recycling was a terrible thing to do for the environment. 251-343-0106. That's the Callahan's Irish Social Club. Call the text line.
Learn something new every day. I didn't know they had that.
Yeah. It wasn't like a car wash. It was pipes that went over the exit, and as you went in, they were sprayed off the top.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I never knew that. Well,
The lady that used to babysit me when my parents both worked, her husband worked at the paper plant. Sometimes we go down and pick him up. We all wanted to go through the car wash.
mm-hmm.
And she would because she wasn't used to her car being down there. He drove an old beat up truck and didn't care.
Yeah, you were mentioning smells and all that. People don't realize I come from an area where it's not as prominent as Wisconsin, but the Midwest still has cheese. It's dairy country, so there's a lot of cheese. And in Atwood, Kansas, which is just north of Colby, where I grew up, ironically, this always confused me because they made Colby cheese in Atwood, and we lived in Colby, Kansas, where they didn't make Colby cheese. But Colby cheese was basically a cheddar.
Yeah.
And
I think from Colby,
they took us through the process. And I didn't want Colby cheese anymore. It's kind of like walking through a hot dog plant. You're just like, ooh, man, no.
Colby cheese actually gets its name from the city of Colby, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where it was invented in 1885.
Yeah.
But yeah, it uses the cheddar process.
Yeah. And it's the point I was trying to bring out is unbelievably no. Oh my God. Just, we walked through there with masks. It was like, what are the masks for? For the cheese. So it's here. Oh, I thought it was to help figure the smell. It was just unbelievable. And I think we were in like sixth grade at the time. I was like, no.
Longest waiting children in foster care.
More of a white
Not only love these
cheese.
kids, I am just so proud of them.
I really think cheddar is the best form of cheese. I love blue cheese.
Yeah.
A sharp white cheddar. Oh my gosh, Vermont does
really
really
white.
And I used to get an Irish style white cheddar for Lucky that we used there as our cheese for the soups and stuff that was made in Wisconsin. It was like $8.50 a pound.
All things prep along the Gulf Coast and the state of Alabama. Wake up with the Prep Sports Report team this Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on FM Talk 106.5.
Did you want to do sponsors again?
Yes.
Okay.
Devoted to the complete gastronomic experience.
A big butter and egg man.
Mike-less Stu on FM Talk 106.5.
You are back listening to Sip and Chew with Mike-less Stu. I want to thank our sponsors. Of course, I want to start this time in Chickasaw, Alabama. Hall Sausage and Wholesale Meat Company. You can find them at most of your local grocers, Mobile and Baldwin County. That andouille sausage this time of year will set that gumbo off, y'all. Just get the andouille. That's what belongs in gumbo. It tastes better than anything else.
And don't forget your okra.
Okra.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I also want to say thanks to the fine folks at Bob's Downtown Restaurant at the corner of Fat and Happy. Go in and get a meatloaf omelet, which I will get one of these days. I also want to say hello to the folks at Butch Cassidy's Cafe. Roy and the crew are more than happy to come in there and cook you a meal. Fine home cooked meal. All right, I'm going to deviate now from the fall talk.
I was about to ask first, you mentioned all the smell and everything, and we had the story off Mike there about growing up in Kansas, and I grew up in a place called Colby, just outside of Colby, and we took a visit to a place north of Colby called Atwood, and that's where they made Colby cheese. Right. It always confused me, but we were talking about the difference between cheeses. I like more of a white cheese, the Colby. Yellow cheeses. I'll mix them, especially like with the taco.
Yeah. But Colby Jack.
Yeah. But Not much on that. But what this time of year? What's your pick of the litter, if you will, for cheese and in meals?
This time of year, probably blue cheese, because it's going to go with apples. It's going to contrast those kinds of flavors, those sweeter flavors. You've got the pungency of the blue cheese, the sweetness of the fruit, bring them together, and you get a flavor that just, you get, again, it's the best of both worlds.
Kind of like the nut salad, blue cheese salad. You have
Exactly.
the raisins. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you were talking about you like the Colby Jack in a taco.
Mhm.
Well, this the next section. Nice transition.
Okay.
I'm going to give you my favorite of the area's best bites, the single best dishes that
Okay.
just taste the best. And the first one is at Badiachi here in Midtown Mobile
Okay.
at the Loop area, that foot-long taco.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, that thing is good. And it's essentially a basic taco, just a foot long.
It's large. to
Yeah,
say.
it's an order of nachos in a taco shell. And then I'm going to dress it out, and oddly enough, and maybe it's because I live there,
Mm.
3 of the things on this list are found in Sims. The first one is at Sims House of Pizza,
Oh,
the Sophia calzone,
I'd
the
agree with
Greek style, the spinach, the artichoke, the
Yes.
feta cheese,
Yes,
the
yes,
pepperoncini.
yes.
I think that is one of the best things in all of Mobile, Baldwin County. I
agree
absolutely
with
love it.
And it's big. It ain't your typical
Right,
like the
right.
frozen food section. No, this
No.
bad boys.
Yeah, it's a honker.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to head downtown to Squid Ink.
Okay.
The Mobtown hot fries are
Oh,
addictively
hot
good.
fries.
It's French fries. They top it with, I believe it's cotija cheese, and drizzled with basically it's Nashville hot seasonings. That sweet hot
yeah.
combination. Oh my gosh, those things are so good. Then now I'm hopping across the bay,
Okay.
going to Spanish Fort to Mandina's, which is a New Orleans-based restaurant.
Right.
There are 3 locations. 2 are in New Orleans. One is
in
in
Valley
Spanish
Forge.
Fort.
Okay.
And that is their trout meuniere, which I think is the best trout meuniere in New Orleans. And now, since they're in Alabama, it's the best trout meuniere in Alabama.
Okay. Now you're gonna have to sound fancy, so break it down.
It's pretty much any fresh catch from the Gulf,
Okay.
not a specific type of trout. You use redfish, you use red snapper, you use flounder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sauce that's like Worcestershire and butter and a little hot sauce and shallots, and it just tops the top of it. And then if you add almonds to it,
Ooh.
now it's trout almondine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, trout meuniere is trout almondine without the almonds.
That broke it
But
down. That's
It
simplified.
is,
like
to
that.
me, that is the best fish dish you can get. I
It
just
does
love
sound
it. And Mandina's does the best. Now, anywhere, Mobile, Baldwin County,
Okay.
Mediterranean Sandwich Company,
Agreed.
the Red Rooster Sandwich,
Never had that.
which is the shawarma chicken, Kaneka sausage, and their harissa buffalo sauce that they make at Mediterranean
In-house.
Sandwich Company. There may even be some bacon in there. But it to me, that was the best chicken sandwich on the planet until Squid Ink did the Mobtown hot chicken with the chicken thighs. But both of them, they're chicken thighs,
Wow.
which is far superior to chicken breast.
So there's a lot of chicken and fish in the fall. Is what you're saying? You said probably.
Well, this isn't fall related. This is just
just in general. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then I'm headed back to Sims for the last 2. One of them, Andy McDonald and I did a food crawl in
Okay.
Sims for him to do an article in Lanyap.
Okay.
And I took him to Sakura, the Japanese steakhouse,
Yes.
to get the beef egg roll. It is ground beef, cream cheese, and
Yes,
some like
I have
onions and
had
stuff.
those.
It tastes like a cheeseburger inside an egg roll.
Egg roll. Yeah.
It's, oh my gosh, it is good.
And they ain't small either.
Yeah, tons of garlic, which is important for anything in an egg roll.
See, we do this on purpose, folks. It's just about noon.
Yep. Yeah. And then the last thing I want to talk about is that Sabai Thai cuisine, right behind the CVS there in
Yes.
Sims. They're firecrackers,
Yes.
which are fresh jalapenos, nice and crispy,
Mhm.
filled with surami, which is also called crab stick. It's made from Alaskan whitefish. It's an imitation crab.
Mhm.
So no, it's not real crab, but it is real good.
Yes.
And they stuff that with the cream cheese inside of these fresh jalapeno peppers. do a little tempura batter and fry it up.
Yeah.
Split them in half. Then they drizzle them with yum yum sauce and eel sauce on a bed of lettuce. And I tell you that I could go in and just eat that and be happy.
Sabai is good.
Sabai is really
I've had
good.
several. I haven't had that one, but most of their shrimp.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, and if you haven't had their cowboy wontons, and she told me that was something she used to just make for them for breakfast. But it's breakfast sausage and cream cheese in a wonton wrapper,
mm-hmm.
like a wonton, but instead of crab rangoon, it's breakfast sausage. Oh my gosh, those are good.
Ooh.
So that almost made the list of best bites, but I figured
Almost.
I'd have to stop there at just one from Sakura and one from Sabai.
Good suggestions. There's a lot of places that I have not been, and I've been in here, like I said, in Mobile at least 30 years. So I need to get out more. I like the Pagliacci. Where is that at?
Bariachi is it used to be the Mellow Mushroom at the Loop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a really good place. A lot more windows than most Mexican restaurants.
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's
I know
really
where you're
bright
at
and
now.
festive because of that. Because it used to be, a chain pizza.
Is
bar.
that newer? Is that something more?
Been about
recent?
2 years.
About 2 years. Okay,
Yeah.
that's maybe a reason. That's right there at the where the Walgreens, right across the bike
Yeah.
shop, and there's a restaurant there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know where you're at now.
Yeah.
Pagliacci.
Yeah, I
Got that.
and when I had the mac and cheese reopen, I often would leave the show
Mm-hmm.
and stop at Bariachi just to get that foot-long taco. Now I've tried some of the other stuff on the menu and it's all good, but nobody else has a foot-long taco. And it's fried in that flour shell, so that makes it a little different.
That's what I was going to
I
say.
prefer corn tortillas and corn shells,
Mhm.
but it is nice to have a mix-up from time to time. It's like cooking at Butch Cassidy's on a charbroiler really makes me crave burgers cooked on a flat grill.
Yes.
Because I've got the charbroil all the time. When I work at a place that we use a flat grill, then I crave Butch Cassidy's because it's different from what I'm used
You
to.
have? So it's strictly at Butch Cassidy's. So it's all grill. It's no.
Yeah, it's charbroil.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that there was both.
No,
No.
we have a metal pan that we put on one side of the charbroiler that's for toasting bread.
Okay.
And then when someone asks for the grilled fish or the blackened fish,
Yeah.
I will cook it there, but then I've got to clean the entire thing before I can
Right.
get bread on. So I'd really rather you didn't want to get it fried.
Just a
But
little
the-
bit
but
more
the
work
grilled
there,
shrimp-
yeah, I get it.
Because it doesn't break apart, I do it directly on the charbroiler.
Gotcha.
All right, folks, get out there, tip your servers, earn your tips. Be as local as you can be, but don't be ridiculous. And above all else, provolone.